Well, I was having far too much fun playing the prototype. I've picked up a sword.
Hello, everybody.
How is everyone this evening? We are
Um,
melting. I'm going to show you this right now, right at the beginning. It's not a flex. It's just really hot. Hopefully you guys can see that. It's currently nearly 32 degrees.
318. Oh,
I don't know what it is in Fahrenheit. I don't use Fahrenheit. But
I
the
can do that for you,
humidity,
hang
it's
on
the
then.
humidity that's getting me. It started off at 30 relative
It's
humidity.
90. Now, if you live in the States, you might think 90 is hot. It's not that bad. But you have to remember, houses in the UK are built to withstand the cold. And you tend to have like my walls are a foot thick brick with tiny windows. Like cold, these houses can handle fine. You can get heat stroke in this weather. Like it's
It's blooming hot. I don't like it.
hello, Roderick.
And obviously, if you can hear either of our fans, then they're our biggest fans and they're keeping us cool. That's the one.
So we've had a busy week full of bugs and bugs and bugs. But shall we introduce Aria first?
Let's do that right now. Show off the game as it is for all the people that are early and here. Right, let's go ahead. I need to find OBS. I've lost OBS. Ah. When I get my third monitor back on, I'll be happy. Right. I didn't test whether this works. 3, 2, 1. Hey, it works. Nice.
I would see it for 30 seconds. So
Yeah, that's cool. I'm not going to press buttons. It works. So we've got Aria into our test scene, which is pretty awesome.
I've also tweaked the test scene so that it looks more like a sunny day as opposed to a weird cartoon.
Yeah. So there's loads of things obviously still to do, but look at this. We've got our character shuffling across the screen. Looks so awesome. And Yann, you've put a table here with some stuff on it.
New toys. I've also changed the jump so it looks a lot better.
I want one of these.
We've had to do so much work with this character this week. It's
Oh, Yann, there are sword and shields.
well, the sword and axe.
Oh, come back here.
Now, currently, the equip slot isn't working. It's working that today. There's a critical bug with it, so I've just disabled it for now, but that's the next thing I'm working on. But the idea is to get to a point where you can actually equip weapons, have different weapons for the attacks, and so on. Do you want to show us some attacks, mate?
No, I'm playing Aria Kickabout. Yes, so let's get the axe out.
Yeah, Reese, we've done a lot of work on movement between the animations, the new script to import from Blender, and a lot better work with the way it feels and the way it controls. There's still some things I want to change, but it's coming along.
That's nice. Oh, jumping is much better. It's much more
yeah.
Well,
which means you can't jump on the table. But on the other hand, I can't jump onto a table, so
yeah. We noticed when playing last week, I was just stood here spamming the jump key, going, "How come our character can like leap 4 meters high?"
Well, it was weird because we had the camera like moving with the character, and it looked fine. And then Mikey was like, "This is making me seasick because I like spamming jump, and it's making me seasick. So what happens if we don't do that?" So I disabled that, and the character goes rocketing into the air, which you never noticed before. So I've tried to make it a bit more. What have you done to this table?
I've put it away.
Parked it.
Parked the table. I've already got an axe, so I can get rid of that, but I'm going to pick up this instead. Look at that. That's lovely.
Yep. So it's all coming along. These are placeholder icons. These are not the ones we'll be giving you the course for reasons. Do you know what the trickiest thing for this was? Not counting the axe you're holding as a nearby object to pick up.
Oh, that would be confusing.
Dodge is working, although I've taken the
oh, what's the dodge key? V?
It's still yeah.
Yeah, woo!
I know you want me to change it, but I haven't done that yet.
Yeah, that's...
I've also changed it so if you run backwards, you actually run towards the camera as opposed to shuffling backwards, which will just look weird.
But your controls are reversed, so you've got to be mindful of that.
I haven't figured out how to fix that yet. But if we
Well,
don't tell them, they'll never know.
there's also the benefit that if I want to run to the right, and now I run towards, yeah, it's
No,
difficult.
it's actually bugged. Like that, it's. I'm trying to figure out a good way of doing it.
Yeah, it's
I
challenging.
can reverse them if you're not running forward. But then what happens if you're not running backwards or forward and you go left or right? Because I need to figure out which way you're facing, not which way you're moving.
Yeah, challenges, challenges, challenges.
Challenges. But this is Aria. She's our work in progress character. Michael's done an amazing job with her. There's still some clipping going on, but for Generation 1, she's amazing. Well, she's actually Generation 6, but you know what I mean.
That is very, very true. I've just, in fact, I was hoping to get it ready for the stream, but I need one more bit of video just telling people where to download it. But I can still launch the actual content for you. Oh, special treatment. Not you, but them. Them there, the people watching us.
I mean, yeah, fine, they can have it.
Okay, you keep them
What's the special
entertained.
content?
I'm going to launch the script so they can play with it themselves.
Okay. I've got a lovely bunch of coconut. I, don't- I think he's launching the conversion script. So what Michael has done is written a script that will take a whole bunch of animations. So in this case, we're using placeholder animations from Mixamo and put them all in one armature with a naming convention. It probably does other things as well. Um, what it mostly does is keep Michael awake for a week while he fixes all the bugs. Because
Isn't that true?
we found some great bugs with this one. Like this character has gone through I think 5 iterations in as many days. Because Michael will like send me okay, I fixed it. Here's the new file. Last thing night, it's like great. I'll check it in the morning. I'll check it in the morning. It's like the first few look great, and then all the other animations are walk backwards.
It turns out that the problem wasn't 100% me. It was the fact that you have to have very specific export settings. And yeah, I forgot to check that. So I went and fixed a bug that didn't exist. And then it existed again. And we're like, what is going on?
Yep. So yeah, I'm not quite sure what he's doing right now. He's launching something, but
I
that's all I know.
Well, yes, I'm going to give everybody
Like
the
I'm entertaining them without
script.
knowing what I'm talking about. So
Well, the script, so everybody can
I
play with
spy with my.
it. Oh, wow. Come on.
It's great TV.
Oh, it is, isn't it?
We've both been working so hard. We haven't actually had a chance to catch up before the
No,
stream.
we haven't.
So I didn't know he was launching this today. So I'm
I, I,
not
I I
there.
thought about mentioning it maybe, but then
I'm gonna wear my hat. My head hurts.
oh dear. It turns like I don't have a thumbnail for the course, so yeah, it's like super early access to everybody.
But this is a course.
Well, it's on a course on our site, so
Okay.
bam, there we go. It should be free for everybody.
Okay, Michael, do you want to talk us through what this is?
It's the script.
Yeah, no, just
Let me just launch it first.
okay. When he was saying I was preparing the script for tonight, I thought he meant like a talkie script. Like I
No,
was
no, no, no.
preparing to read something to you and look natural doing it. So, hi, I'm a professional.
There we go. So super copy the URL. I'm gonna make sure it works before pasting it because that
Question from Rayus. When the player is facing the camera, the controls are reversed. Are you using a pivot for the player and then using that pivot to rotate the player mesh? No. I'm using so there's a pivot for the camera, but when the game starts, that pivot is set to top level, so it's no longer in the player, but it resets its position to where the player is at any given point. Then the player interpolates, or the character interpolates its movement or its rotation towards the camera. So that works great. And when you're pressing backwards, we're going to, move towards the camera, and we're pressing forward, go away. But the problem is left and right. Left and right are where the character is actually facing, not camera left and right. So it's just yeah, we need to figure that out. I could just make it so that when you press backwards, you walk backwards, like you shuffle backwards,
yeah.
but it's not expected behavior. that feels weird. Like at some point, I want to walk towards the camera and look cool.
Perhaps, I don't know, double tap to walk backwards, and back would just shuffle backwards. There
I'm
was,
having enough trouble with double tap as it is.
well, let's not do double tap. I thought to just mention it. Mention it in passing.
So this script, Michael, talk us through what this script does. All
Okay.
I know is it creates animations, and then I say, it doesn't work, fix it. And then you fix it.
No, brilliant. So I'll just share my screen. I need to move some things out of the way first of all. I'll do a live demonstration of the script. So where is the main screen? There we go. So we can see my main screen now. So the whole purpose of this script, once you've downloaded it, is you can go to Mixamo. So let's open up Mixamo here, and I'll drag it across so everybody can see. Okay, so you would upload your character into Mixamo, and then once you've done that, you can, and this will work with any character, I think. That's why I want it out into the wild for people to test. So yeah, it will, you just pick any of these that you want, you download them, you set your settings. They'll obviously be different if you're working on a different project. For us, we have to make sure it's 60. I have actually put instructions with it as well.
Okay.
Once it downloads, it will obviously be in your downloads folder. So let's go ahead and let's go to downloads. Excellent. So the idea being that when it downloads, you'll get a download in your downloads folder, he says. That's still just taking ages. There you go, it's downloading, and I selected a pack, which is slightly different, but we can go ahead into, come on, into our downloads folder. We've got the sword and shield pack there. We've got a series of animations that will go along with it. You could extract those. But what's important is wherever your blend file is stored, in this case it's called model, your animations are all put in a folder, and you can change this name within the script. That's not a problem at all. But it has to be exactly the same as what you've called it. So I've got 5 here just for ease. I don't want to go ahead and do too many because it can slow everything down if you do lots. And the reason for that, by the way, is if you run a operation in Blender as a script, it has to refresh the interface. And there's no other way at the moment of importing, whether it's an FBX or any other file, without going via the operations API, which means that if you go and do like 100 animations, it's going to take some time to do. So I'm going to go ahead and open up model. Here we go. And then we'd go to our scripting interface. You can see it's already in there because I played with it before, but you go ahead and open up your script. Now, once you've got the script loaded, this is the line at the top here. Let's zoom in. Animation directory name. So this needs to be named exactly the same as your folder that has your animations, and don't put anything else in that folder. It might break stuff. And your character name. This is one that Yann and I had a bit of fun with because in order to make sure we can apply our animations to multiple models, yeah, we just want to call this armature. If I call it Aria or main character and then call a skeleton, we're going to have problems because you can't just quickly share animations because the root will be called something different. Makes it more challenging. But once that's done, I would advise, especially if you're doing multiple, to open up the system console. When you do that, so that's under Window, Toggle System Console. When you do that, you can see everything that Blender's up to. And if I put that to one side and bring open our script on the other side, let's make this lovely. Oh, that changes the size of the window as well. I didn't know that. I'll leave it like that for the moment. And then we just run our script. So if I click the play button, or whilst the cursor's over this window, I can go Alt and P, and it will run the script. So it will do the imports, and it will go through, and it will delete all of the extra things it doesn't need. It will just give you an output here. That's the really important thing, because with an output, you know that it's still working. With 100 animations, this becomes a waiting game, essentially. And if you have lots, then it will take longer. But anyway, now that's in here, we can go to an animation workspace or just change yourself to a non-linear animation editor, and you'll see the various animations that we have all here ready, and there were 5 animations, and you'll notice that these animations are actually called exactly the same as what they were called in here. So if you're doing something that you want to be automatically looped in Godot, we can go ahead and put the dash loop afterwards. This may or may not be a time saver for you. Let's go to my animation workspace, and then finally we can check these. Do they work? So we go ahead and play them. Bear in mind that some of these will be truncated because of the play time on the timeline here. So we can go ahead and we just press tab on waving, and hopefully, there we go, our character's waving. And if we go ahead and go walk, it will start walking, but of course, this is something to watch out for. The playhead will keep on going to the end of the timeline. This doesn't matter when you're exporting, but it does matter when you're trying to preview things. And we've got a jog, an idle loop, and of course, her falling backwards. And of course, all of that was done with one click. There are a few other things I'd love to expand the script to do, but for the moment, I really want to get it out there in the wild and give the wider world something to play with, because this has saved me so much time. It's going to have saved you guys hundreds of hours if you're going to start using something like that, which is absolutely phenomenal. I'm aware my camera has frozen,
But it was me.
so I'll just sort that out. But yeah, that was the script. I demonstrated it last week, and it was in its sort of beta form. It's now in release form, and I think I've solved most of the bugs that I would, well, that I was getting anyway.
I mean, we'll probably find bugs later, but you know, I think it's a really great script, and it's once we got it working, and this was all hot code and you know lots of prototyping, so it's to be expected. Once it was working, it was fantastic. Just to get the animation with the rig with all of the animations I'd need, and I just import them and say keep the animation so I can save changes to them, and the whole thing's much simpler. Michael,
Yes.
you're doing weird things.
Oh
Are you
yeah,
back yet?
I'm just trying to work this out. I until I've got my office sorted, I'm having to use a cam link that's broken. It freezes occasionally,
Oh, okay.
and I was disabling the wrong camera.
It's fine. You look magnificent.
Why, thank you.
So yeah, we hit some roadblocks in getting the character imported, but now that it's working, it looks great. So I'm really happy with that. Um, and it's made the actual animation tree system a lot simpler. I've also managed to simplify that a little bit, and then find some odd quirks in there.
Hey,
To,
I'm back.
I can see a Michael.
Yay.
Yep. I
Nice.
can. I mean, I showed it last week, but I can show the changes to the animation tree as well. So let me just fire up my version of Godot,
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
and I can share my screen if you like.
I can also take a look at the chat, because when I was doing that, I couldn't pay attention to anything else. Oh dear.
Okay, I
Um,
will share my screen.
when you've done that, give me a second to switch it over to your screen.
Yep, yep.
Okay, so that's your screen is full screen, and then that. Perfect.
Okay, so we have our potions, we have our sword, we have our axe. You'll notice they start flying. That's fine. They're rigid bodies. They'll fall down. What was I looking at? All right, so I'm going to go to the player, which is an instance of character, and the character has all of these little meshes that are rigged to follow the skeleton. Um, it's all very early days, so we do see some clipping, but I'm sanguine that that's going to be easy to solve. And what I've had to do is just change how idles and walks work. And then I've had to complicate things a little bit because the gap from when you're running to when you attack was just too long. So I need a way of going instantly from run to heavy attack, and then from heavy attack you'll go back to idle.
Yeah, that's right, because we want to feel quite nimble, and if you've got to slow down, and it's
We want to feel quite nimble, but we don't want characters moving while they attack. So we want the state from running to stop to be very quick. There's also a few little odd things, like the attack animation. Let me just show this. I'm going to disable my animation tree for a moment to allow me to use the animation player. If I go to Axe Attack 2, it's actually quite a slow attack. In fact, it's too slow for what we want. But in an animation tree, there's no way in a state machine animation tree of changing the speed of animation. So what I had to do was put a tiny blend tree in here and put a timescale, but the timescale did nothing.
Yep.
So then I find out that if you have a blend tree with a timescale inside a state machine, it'll default the timescale to 1. So in my animator, I've now moved all animations to the animation control to the animator because my scripts are just getting unwieldy and I need to refactor a lot more things. On ready, go to the attack speed up, that's my timescale node, and
Yep.
set it to 2, and do the same for heavy attack. And then when you attack, the whole thing feels nice and fun. So let's demonstrate that in 3D. Did you know God could do 3D?
Up. What?
There we go. It looks a bit silly with the axe hidden, but so yeah, it's all looking very fancy, and we have a whole bunch of animations here. I want to add more states so we can go from axe standing to heavy attacks, and we have the two-handed attacks, and we have a whole bunch of magic attacks I haven't even played with yet. And I need to figure out how to like make fancy particles, which is why currently it's not the most important factor because there's some key functionality I want to get in, specifically the inventory. Right now, my inventory is this spaghetti code because it's just okay. Let me get it working, then refactor it. This is the wrong node. But my goodness, what was I thinking? It's under player. Here we go. So we have inventory. Inventory management has this detection, and then it has the GUI. Fine. So far, so good. Here's our GUI. It's looking lovely. My problem is currently this. Can you see my mouse cursor? I can't tell.
Should be able to.
Okay. Currently, it's unable to tell the difference between the equip index and the inventory index. So when you drop something into here, it'll say, okay, well, this is a grid container. That's 1, 2. So it goes into slot 2. But I don't want it to slot 2. So I put in code to disable that. It says, okay, you've picked up an item. No, nothing works. I can't find entry 3. It's like, what's entry 3? I don't know. Well, what are you looking for? I don't. So I'm going to spend a day or so completely refactoring my item system just so it's easier for me to read. It's got to the point where it's prototype, tweak it, add things, add things, add things, add things, and all of a sudden you are left with a whole bunch of scripts that all do subtly different things but look very similar. And I'm at that stage now where I have to start applying data patterns. I might actually spend 3 or 4 days just applying some sort of data pattern, programming pattern, just to really simplify everything I'm looking at because it's now getting to the point where it's too unwieldy. But that's part of the discovery journey. So
That's what happened with my code. I wouldn't want to go much longer in terms of script length as to what I currently have. I did think about branching it out, and then I thought that it's just a script at this point, and it does one specific thing. I could see myself splitting that script out if I was going to start reusing components of that in other scripts.
Components is a key word to what I'm having to do here. Like
Yeah.
moving all of the blending and animation controls out of the character script and into an animation module just makes the whole thing much more readable. And like if I'm looking for anything to do with animation, I know where to look. So I'm gonna have to start really being a lot more rigorous at this stage with the single responsibility principle and object-oriented programming. Because otherwise you end up with giant scripts that do too many things. And like, what does the player need to do? What does the character need to do? The player script is now way simpler. The player script
Yeah.
takes inputs and handles inventory. That's it. That's all it does.
And it makes life so much easier once you've actually done that as well. That's the thing. It's difficult to start with that, mainly because you're putting in a lot of front end effort. That's one of the biggest things. You're like, I don't know how big this is going to get yet. I don't know if I'm going to work on this. So you just blast it all down. It is just really rough and ready. And then you have to catch it before it becomes too unwieldy. That script didn't have any functions in it when I first started. It was just one plain script. And then I realized, hang on a minute, I'm doing the same thing multiple times. That really needs to be in a function.
Yep.
And all I was doing is copying and pasting the code. Oh, I want to do this again. Boop.
That's the thing as well is if we're just making a game just for us, we can get away with cutting some corners. right? Because no one's going to see the code, and the difference
Yeah.
in efficiency is going to be pretty small in a lot of cases. So some cases where it's not, but like you cut a couple of corners, you think, that's shoddy programming. I'll fix it later. You never get around to it. When you're making a course, you really can't get away with that, right? Because you're teaching really bad habits.
Yeah, you
So
don't want to do that.
yeah,
One other thing that I was very proud of during the refactor, I realized that I was working on a load of objects in the scene and doing loads of things to those objects before it was and then just deleting them. I was doing all of this work and deleting them. I was like, I'll just do I literally flipped around 2 functions and then the script was 4 times faster. I was like, yes. That
yep.
was little win moment, but it makes all the difference. Yeah, it's just a real shame that I've not really played with Blender Python um for the best part of probably 8 months or so, because I had to relearn so much of the API that I thought I'd remembered. But I also learned so much more about coding by just going through and playing with it, which is real fun. I really
Yep.
enjoyed it. So, and the best thing is you guys get to benefit from that, because there's no point in me just keeping this script. This is something that everybody can benefit from. So yeah, play with it, see what you see if you can break it. You know, that's the thing. I'm sure there's edge cases that I haven't considered, but I think unless you're trying to break it, you'll be fine.
Um, then once you get the script into Godot or the file into Godot, there's a few things to do. One of them is to, when you import it, import the animations with the same keyframe or same frame rate, because it makes things much easier. And make sure that you um, don't keep the animations embedded. You want to save them as a separate file and then keep custom tracks. And the reason you want to do that is if you need to make any changes to the animation, whether it's this jump needs to be trimmed or I want to add in, this is the moment where you start emitting that fancy trail on the axe, you need to be able to save that. And if it's embedded into the animation, you can't.
Yeah, that's very very true. In fact, there are a lot of things when it comes to embedding that can be beneficial. It's the same as caching.
I always
Caching
feel
can
very
be.
beneficial when I'm in bed. You're welcome.
Wait a minute. Uh, should we go
So yeah,
there? No, no, no.
do you want to do another quick test? Because we've got some more people in, and most of them
Yeah,
haven't seen Aria
yeah.
moving around. She's a lot smoother now.
Smooth Aria. I'm just loading it up at the moment.
Loading, loading, loading.
God always loading up in 3D. Right.
Nailed it.
This one? Yeah, press the right button. So here we go. Here's Aria in her new environment. We've had a bit of a UI makeover as well.
Oh yeah, I'm getting happy with the UI. The tooltips also work if the things aren't on the ground. So if they're in your inventory, the tooltips will work. Not everything has a tooltip, but you know, I had to drink some water.
So there we go. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. Which makes sense. You can. Oh,
Well, it's more itemless tooltips work differently, so I have to figure out another way of doing it.
that's fair. Okay, where's the sword? Come here, sword. Rawr! Oh, no.
I also do want to implement the thing where you can pick things up without having to go to the UI menu.
We've got an animation for that now, which is awesome.
Where you are? Yes, we do.
Wow. That feels really good.
Do you like my tooltip for the sword?
I haven't looked. What is it? What is it?
Innocent face. They can't see my innocent face.
Sword, I saw this coming.
Sort of saw this coming.
Ask me no question. No.
I have done the green and the purple. I'm sorry.
It works. It's fine. So yeah, oh yeah, this jump is so much better.
Part of it as well was because I realized that the jump wasn't actually working for steps. I have to change the position and extents of the collision as part of the animation. So I have to go in and change that. Otherwise, you play the jump animation, but you don't actually jump over things.
Oh yeah, that would be no good. Whee.
But she's a lot of fun to move around. Like she's got
This
some,
is a lot more fluid now.
and you actually move faster when you're not wielding a weapon, which I thought was a nice little touch. I do want to make it so that if you press attack when you're not holding a weapon, she'll draw the weapon.
Oh yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
And I need to lock down the ability to move until she's fully put the weapon away.
Oh yes, to prevent.
Ice skating.
Can I do it? Yeah, here we go. That's just a blend that would sort that out, I presume.
No, it's
Mm.
blending now. The problem is knowing when you're allowed to move.
No, I mean like a blend, so of
No, I know what you mean.
putting away and the legs.
It's already blending. It's more I need to lock movement until we say it's okay. I can change when that is, but if the feet aren't moving, I can't move.
Ah, gotcha. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is a lot of fun. I know what I can do, because if you weren't here earlier, you'd have missed me playing. Hey, football.
I forget you can drop things as well if you're more than one ball. Oh yeah, I'm 30 seconds behind. Sorry.
Playing Aria
So yeah,
kickabout.
this would be a more interesting little, obstacle course and stuff. But this room was literally put together last week for me to practice the new movement code and the camera code. Like this, that's all it's for. I also like the fact that we've now got to the stage where you don't notice the camera clipping.
What camera
Not
clipping?
camera clipping. The camera. If you walk up to the wall and then move the camera around, the camera is now smooth enough that you don't notice it's moving backwards and forwards to keep you in view.
Oh, that is nice. Yeah, there was one instance, wasn't there, where I was playing, and when I dropped down here, yeah, that's so much better. It became unusable, but yeah, that's part of the experience and part of playing.
Now, we're set up at the moment to make this an action RPG that has the ability to jump. We're not set up to be like a platform puzzler. Right now, the jumps are not that accurate feeling because I haven't been putting my attention on that.
No,
But because that's not really what this is for, like the combat is really what we want this to be for. I
yeah,
think that's key. I also want to put in a slightly more advanced combat system. Right now, we have two attacks, right? We have heavy and light.
yeah.
I'd like to be able to get something in there, but it's that feels like nice to have at this stage. Like it's not
I
critical.
think so as well. The whole I mean, once you've this is quite common in creating a scene or creating attacks, or once you've done one, all you need to do from a learning point of view is do the same thing again and
Well, it's
again.
also figuring out like if I have four different possible attacks and two buttons,
Yeah.
what's the control interface? What's the logic behind it? Right? That would be lovely to have, but I don't think it's what needs to happen right now.
No, no, I don't think that would be. It's not going to forward what we want to be able to present to students on a
Right.
course. That's the main
We want
thing.
to get
Yeah.
ready for like
A launch,
we
yes.
want to get ready for the Kickstarter launch, and there's critical things that I'd like to show before we get to like the advanced stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely. If you haven't done yet, our Kickstarter page isn't up just yet. However, our company's one is. So if you actually, I'll show a link in a second. If you're signed in, this is what I discovered last week. If you're signed into Kickstarter, it will actually have a follow button just underneath. So I'm going to go get the link to us on Kickstarter so you can follow it. And then it will be announced to you. You'll basically get a notification when we go live with it, just in case for some reason you manage to miss us announcing it anyway, which
Yep.
is not likely, I don't think. So let's just make sure I can find us. There we are. So again, if you're not signed in, you're not going to have the follow option. You would need to make sure that you're signed in to see that. and we're going to pop up a site, or at least the plan is to pop up a page on our site, which is going to give more information that will then forward on to the Kickstarter campaign when it's running. And the plan at the moment is to launch that in about 2 weeks' time. Yep.
Which
So
is why we're working so like hard and like we're getting moments where poor Mikey is like, oh no, I need to fix these animations because Yann's at an impasse. Like I can't fix the
yeah,
movements
yeah, yeah,
because the way the bug worked was the new animations won't work on the old rig because we've simplified the rig, but the new animations have animations missing.
it was.
So,
So what?
oh Mikey.
Ah, oh, that was loud.
Yes, I mean that's what I'm thinking. Is I'd like to get this stage where the player can build up expertise.
Yeah,
So the Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War games are a great example, right? Where you start off with a reasonably simple thing. You feel like a badass because you know you're playing this ranger, undead dude who could do things.
yeah,
Um, but very quickly you start developing your own style, and it feels like yours. You own it, right? Because there's these different moves you can do. There's the way things chain together
yeah.
works really well.
Oh,
Um,
the other thing that we discovered, I quickly loaded up when we were discussing about it was the jumping. You know what? Our character can't really jump 4 meters high, can they? So we opened up, or so I opened up Shadow of Mordor, or one of those, and I was like, the character can't jump. I thought the character could jump. Of course, you can do dives off of high surfaces.
you could run up the
You could
tower.
run up stuff, but jumping just wasn't a thing. Yeah, it shows how you can have the illusion that your character can jump and climb and do it all these things, because you could jump in game, as in like jump over the top of an enemy or over the surface of an object, but not actual like
Bunny
platform.
hop.
No, you can't just jump around. I was like, oh, I thought that was quite interesting.
It is. I mean, I'm always fascinated by the way that we create a narrative about the character we're playing.
Yeah,
I first noticed this when I was doing Discovering Godot and I was making Hoppy Days. Like my very first, I mean, before I was making Discovering Godot, made Hoppy Days, my very first game of Godot. I start off with a sprite and a movement script, and then there's this point very early on where it's not a sprite, it's Bunny. Like it feels like a real character. It's not a real character. It's a sprite. It's some code, right? But it's interesting to me that the way our brains do that,
yeah,
and it's only when you see something go critically wrong, like a jump that's quite clearly insane, that the whole thing falls apart. That you lose that illusion.
yeah.
But if it doesn't go wrong, you'll fill in the blanks. Like my ranger, what's his name, can jump. I forget which Power Ranger you play in Shadow of Mordor, but it's one of them. Now
I
there's a crossover.
oh no, no, no. Are
I
you?
think what's really interesting, actually, from a game design point of view, about the Shadow of Mordor and the Shadow of War is it's effectively the Arkham games, right? Batman games
Yeah, pretty much.
with the Nemesis system. And the Nemesis system is amazing, but Warner Brothers went and patented it.
Nobody else can have it.
Right. So I was like, well, why would you patent a gameplay mechanic? You can't copyright a gameplay mechanic, but you can patent one. And how close you can get to it before it violates patent would probably have to be decided by the courts. And I don't know who wants to take on Warner Brothers.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because if you generated a game where the enemies and their minions remembered you, and if you attacked them, they would remember that you attacked them, and if you didn't attack them but helped them, they would remember you helped them. That doesn't sound like something you
Faction
could patent.
system, right?
Yeah, it's a faction system.
Well, no, there's a whole bunch of other things like the interaction between them, the way the character remembers and responds to you. Like there is something there that you could call a nemesis system, but it's. I think they wanted to use it in their other games, and then when the second one launched, it had such bad public reaction to the awful day one DLC and
They
loot
won
box nonsense that
DLC.
was in
Yeah.
there that everyone just dropped the game, and now no one knows if they're ever going to use that system again. And it's just like, well, that's a real pity.
No, patents are for ideas and copyrights for real things, but There is a strong argument that patents do
You
stop
have the right to
innovation.
patent your idea. It's exactly what it's
Yeah,
for. It's to stop anyone using your innovation for 20 years. I mean, that's the idea.
but it has to be. I can't remember. I'm not a patent lawyer. We're not
We
patent
did
lawyers.
play a really interesting game a couple of weeks back.
Oh, Tango, Operation Tango.
Operation Tango.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. So Operation Tango is specifically a two-player game, and you play completely different perspectives on the game. One of you's like a hacker, and you've got to aid the other person through like opening a lock or deciphering a code or lots of other things. But I was surprised when you're just playing the spy. It's very much like every other first person game, and you're roaming around and you're following instructions from the person you're playing with. The hacker has a whole world in front of them that's not what it
Well,
seems.
it's interesting. You can't see each other's screens. I mean,
Yeah,
they tell you don't see each other's screens. This
yeah,
is
that is
it
critical.
uses a very similar system to keep talking, no one explodes. If you know that game, it's all about clear communication in a very muddy environment. Like
It's certainly tested our communication skills.
the first mission, I was the hacker and he was the spy. It was just like, okay, I don't have the information to help you. Like, what do you see? It's like a lift. Like, great. So what's the code for it? I don't know. So there's that going on, and we quickly figured out like what kind of questions to ask, and then we swapped, and we got to the point where I'm saying to Mikey, okay, I've got 30 seconds, and this symbol's just come up. It's like, what's the symbol look like? It's a bunch of triangles. They're all triangles. How many triangles do you see? I see 3. Great. Does it have a circle in it? It does. Okay. How many? So there's this whole chain you're trying to do in a time limit. It's a very interesting piece of game design, and the aesthetics are gorgeous.
Yes, I did like the simplicity of the aesthetics, and when you're playing as the hacker, that really comes into its own.
Although there was one mission, and I don't want to spoil anything. There's one mission where he's the hacker and I'm the spy, and I have to help him with these horrible 1980s style consoles I'm literally moving between a little screen. I'm like, I've got 3 bars going this way with little blobs heading towards him. I'm like, okay, there's a blob coming towards you. You're going to want to head down. It's like, I don't have a down. Well, I don't know what you're seeing.
I can move left and right. We
There was this incredible moment, though, where I have to hack this database as the spy. And this little Linux prompt comes up and it says hack into it. And then in brackets, just pretend you're typing by hitting the keys. So I press a key and this little animation plays. And I'll just do this. And it just fills in with techno babble. It was fantastic.
that's real hacking. Did you not know? That's fantastic.
How I hack.
Oh, excuse
Not
me.
that I hack.
Oh no. So yes, we've got Aria in game now, which is absolutely fantastic. She's able to move around. We've just launched the script that will help any of you guys get Mixamo animations into your character. Doesn't matter
Starting
which
to get some
character is.
fluid combat and some working inventory systems, both of which went live today. So like this is very, very hot code.
Yeah, this is straight off the press, as the
Yeah.
saying goes. Yeah, so much more to come. This week I'm going to be working on making some skeletons, and what else have we got on the agenda? There's some more props and
Whole bunch of
scenery.
code. So much code.
I'm going to
Because
make a
I
skeleton. I'm going to take a week off coding and do
yeah,
skeletons.
I've got so much code. Um yeah, I wanna refactor, get my inventory system working, get the ability to equip different weapons and play those animations. And then it's on to AI and health and bring back health and stamina because they're not currently working.
Ah, yes.
There's a bar for them, but they don't do anything. So don't even know if you notice the bar.
I did notice the bar. I also noticed it wasn't going down, but there wasn't anything to injure me. And I know we had disabled or turned down stamina anyway for testing. I mean, if you want to test an attack and you can't because you've got stamina block.
Well, no,
Oh.
the worst was when I got that little penguin dude working, but I didn't have enough stamina to actually get to him. Like,
Yes, this is why cheat codes originally existed.
IDDQD, go.
Yes, yes. I need to test the level and without dying.
Yep.
It's fantastic. Yeah,
So yeah, it's coming along nicely. I keep putting music from a free music pack I found on little video snippets, and every time I do, Mikey goes, "I've got to get you some music."
I've
So I
got
think I'm just going to use this music for the.
I've got some tracks laid down. They're still not ready though. It's one of those things like I'll keep iterating away in the background, and then we'll have our
Tracks laid down.
yeah. I'm gonna lay them
Are we
tracks
going to have
down.
like I'm
Choo
going to have like
choo.
a hot dubstep action adventure?
Wop 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 wop.
All you need is Wob. Do you plan on a block shield mechanic? No.
We
And
will.
that's a specific design choice because Mikey was like, we should put in a block. I'm like, I don't want one.
I went
And
okay then.
here's my thinking, and bear with me. I want the player to feel very nimble and when to sprint, when to dodge, and when to attack to be an actual choice based on stamina. Right? I want you feeling like you're moving fast, all the rest of it. But if you could just turtle, that goes against that. So get rid of block entirely and really double down on the agility of the character. That's my thinking. I mean, a block mechanic is easy as long as I have the animations for it. If I can do damage, I can switch off damage, but it's I don't want one. I want zipping around and feeling awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it is a matter. Usually, it's a matter of hold the shield up or hold the sword up, ready to parry, and then just when the enemy attacks, you get knocked back slightly, and maybe lose a little health.
I mean, there is one of the magic animations that could theoretically be used as a magic shield, but no, I want to double down on the movement and the
Yeah,
positioning, which is why I'm working so hard to get the movement smooth.
it's
But good
awesome.
question, Marcos. Thank you.
Yeah,
Any other questions, thoughts, concerns, comments,
yeah. Get
mimes?
gameplay mechanics are always an interesting one, and we always have to keep reining ourselves back in because we're teaching someone how to do a particular thing rather than doing, as I said earlier, several things that are the same over and over and over again.
And the thing is, like, I could see an argument for, well, if you're teaching a course, teach people how to do block, because a lot of games have block. But the problem is, at some point, you have to teach the game design aspect of it, right? Because you can't teach every possible useful thing in a course. Like, you don't need jump in a game like this. You don't need sprint, right? There's plenty of action RPGs that don't have magic, for example. Like, at what point do you say this is critical, this isn't? So instead, I've just gone, what's the best experience? What's the player experience I can really double down on?
Yeah.
And what magnifies that?
I mean, at what point does a fireball and a bow and arrow actually differentiate from one another apart from animations?
Well,
That's
range attacks at the moment are excluded, just because I haven't put them in. Um, I'd like to think that being able to dodge to the side, especially if NPCs can't dodge, which is what I'm thinking, um, should be pretty interesting. Because then you can sort of zigzag in or move back and do the rest of it. And of course, the turns aren't instant, like your character has a turning radius. So you have to play and get used to the character and all the rest of it. But it might be that if I'm not having shields, I can't have range attacks. On the other hand, the range attacks will be pretty slow.
yeah.
Like you should be able to react to them. We're not doing like hit scan
No, and
because that would be nonsense.
there's a certain aesthetic to the game that we're also going for, and being able to see the arrow arcing through the sky or the fireball going across the screen is going to make a big difference compared to it being, as you say, instant. That would be nuts.
One of the things that I remember when I played the original Doom game way back when, um, they mixed projectiles that actually travel with hit scan. If you're not familiar with hit scan, it's do a check. Can I hit you? When I fire, then I have hit you.
Yeah.
And it's to simulate the fact that bullets move faster than most people can dodge. I mean, unless you're Bill S. Preston in the Matrix, you can't
No.
dodge bullets.
And it separates out the two mechanics very clearly. Some weapons will hit immediately, others
The
there will be a travel time.
downside of that is you have to compensate for the fact that now your NPCs have ungodly aim. Like you need a mechanic around that, whether it's a shield or it takes them a long time to fire or something. Because if it's this NPC can see you, so you take damage, you've basically created a Gorgon
A what?
Medusa. She was one of 3 Gorgons.
Oh, who are the other two?
I can't remember, but they were her sisters.
Fair enough.
Medusa was a woman who was cursed because she, I believe, turned down Apollo. Although it might have been Poseidon.
Welcome to Greek history
Yes,
101.
no, mythology.
Mythology 101.
Yeah, I mean, Horizon Zero Dawn doesn't have blocking. I forget which Souls game doesn't have blocking. I think it was the last one, specifically because what's his name when he made the game said, "I don't want players to sit there just tanking. I want them to be moving on."
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Uh,
So,
yes, I mean we do actually want to have that as part of the course, right? Is the idea of discussing what the player experience is. For me, game design is about the player experience. In fact, the game is the player experience.
yeah,
Everything else
100%.
is the way of achieving that player experience. The graphics, the sounds, the mechanisms or mechanics, the control systems, everything else. Those are like the paint and paintbrushes. They're not the painting. The painting is the experience. So whenever I'm designing a game, I'm like, how do I want the player to feel? And in this case, I want them to feel adventurous and fast and nimble. You've got to go into this quite cartoony and cheerful little space and fight quite cartoony and cheerful little monsters. Like this isn't grimdark. This isn't, you
No.
know, some horrible deepest dungeons kind of madness of Cthulhu thing. This is an adventure,
Yeah,
almost a
very much.
Saturday cartoon adventure, but not quite. And I
Yeah.
want you to go in with some cheerful music and some badass animations, and I want you to destroy a bunch of skeletons, take their loot, come back and upgrade your village.
In many ways, our violence within this game is cartoon violence more than
Yeah.
anything realistic. It opens up our course to more people, of course, if that's the case.
And
Um,
honestly, I'm a little over hyper realistic military shooter violence.
are you? Are
Like,
you?
I am. I've been playing video games since 1982. My reflexes aren't what they were. Like, a new game will come out. It's like accurately recreates the Battle of the Somme. That sounds awful. I don't want to do that.
I was a big fan of the. It started off with Japanese War. I can't remember what it's called. It was a strategy game. Oh, what's it called?
Total War,
Yeah, I think it was
Shogun.
Total War, Shogun.
Yeah,
Yeah, I absolutely loved that because it changed the whole dynamic about how you play those big battles by zooming out and then thinking about where you're placing your troops. It was far more tactical than most real time strategies of the time.
I remember when I first played Shogun, which I was very bad at,
Oh, wasn't
and
any
I
good
didn't
at it.
realize how well what a good job they've done instilling the sort of cultural essence of the game until the Europeans arrived. Because all the way through, messages would come to you and they'd bow and they'd speak, they'd deliver their message, and sometimes they have, the head of your messenger with them just to really insult you, and then they'd bow and they'd step backwards. And then this Portuguese guy comes in and he says, "Giant Lord, I am from the Kingdom of Portugal. We have come to trade." And then he turns his back and walks. I'm like, nope, declaring war on these people just because of the fact the animation and the translation was different. And that was a really nice touch.
I don't think I got that far in the game.
It's very difficult. They turn up with better weapons.
Yes,
But I'm very bad at military strategy games. I've discovered this.
you can still have fun even though you're not good
I
at
had
something.
plenty of fun. I just was very bad at them.
Nice. Okay, we're about coming up on the hour as well.
Yeah.
So, does anybody have any further questions? Interpretive dances? Um,
Jingles.
jingles,
I see jingles each time.
jingles. Gotta love a good jingle.
My
Ah,
head hurts. I don't know if you can tell. It's been really hard.
yeah, it has been absolutely. Some new posts for the Canopy Games blog.
Actually, we were talking about that.
We have.
I can't remember what we were discussing, but
So,
we did
mate,
talk about it.
we did talk about it, and we were trying to work out the time commitment to producing a blog, which is actually quite time consuming, compared to recording a video and uploading. And what I think we came down to was if we couldn't explain in the video fully what was going on, it's possible that one of us could produce the video of it doing it and one of them fill in, but it's very timely to fill out the sort of dev log for that. So YouTube videos are probably going to be the way forward that we do that.
Honestly, my focus has been so much on trying to get this functionality and these bug fix things in that I've kind of lost track of time.
Very, very easy. The other thing, of course, is we want to make sure that all of the things we want to be able to teach, we already know the fundamentals of how to do it. We don't want to launch a Kickstarter and make a load of promises that we haven't got a clue how we're going to actually deliver them. So we're very cautious on making sure that we understand the pipeline, that we understand the code required in order to manage all of these systems, how to integrate all the attacks and everything else that you can see.
And that's, I mean, what we really want is when we launch the Kickstarter, we want a vertical slice that we could show off, maybe even that people can download and play and get a feel
Yeah.
for, just so they can see how it controls and how it feels. Because as Mikey says, it's very easy for us to say we can do this, and given enough timeline, of course we can, right? We know the tools, we know our way around. We'll make mistakes, we'll fix them, we'll learn new things. But that's not really what you guys need. What you guys need is, yes, they have an idea of how to do this, right? This is a pathway forwards.
Yeah. 2 weeks.
Funding rabbits.
Doing,
But yeah,
doing.
first week of August. That's our goal.
Yeah. And we'll keep you up to date as we go as well. That's a you probably the best place is probably the Discord channel. I would just pop the
Yes.
link in just in case you're here and you're not aware that we've got a Discord channel. We post things in there lots when it comes
We have
to
a Discord channel.
Discord server, whatever you want to call it.
I was just being silly. This is like Unity could do 3D.
Apparently so. I tried out Unreal 5 the other day, and it was hilarious because obviously Unreal 5 is incredibly pretty. It's also in alpha or beta, whatever it's in at the moment. And I just imported Aria into it because I wanted to see, well, does my script work for all engines? It does.
All engines? You tested 3.
Yeah, I tested 3. Works in them all. It worked. What other engines are there? Come on. Anyway, so it works. It worked in Godot and it imported really quickly. Brilliant. Worked in Unity. And I was like, okay, I'm going to download Unreal. Left it downloading all night. Came back. Okay, import. It took 15 minutes to import. I was like, why? But it turns out that Unreal does a load of processing whenever you import stuff, which is why it takes longer to import stuff. And I was like, do I cancel this? Do I start again? Or do I just wait? In the end, I just walked off, had a lay down, came back. Ah, there we go. It's working. And all of the animations were there on the drop down for the animations as well, which made me incredibly happy just seeing it being able to work. So yeah, have fun with that, no matter what engine you are using. It works on all 3 of them.
There's only 3 engines in Mikey's world.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a really cool tool. And yeah, Unreal 5 looks stunning. I mean, Godot 4 looks stunning. I have been asked by people, which one's better? What are you trying to do? Like for what I'm doing, I like using Godot. If you like using Unity, you should use Unity.
I will admit, being able to put together prototypes, Godot definitely has a lead on being able to rapidly get a game idea
Godot is
too.
designed for like a single developer or a small team.
Yeah.
Right? Unreal is designed for a massive team of specialists.
Or a
Like,
very,
you can
very
make-
dedicated, knowledgeable person.
I mean, I've seen so many games fold where 3 or 4 people working in Unreal trying to make a stunning game. It's just like you've
Yes.
massively underestimated the amount of hours you need to put into that.
Well, just take my script, the script that imports Mixamo animations. It it was ready 10 days ago.
Mm.
And then another 10 days
It was
took
working yesterday.
it was yes, I was happy to release it yesterday. But that's the thing, you can't just and the same's true of a game. It's going to be many of those systems on top of one another where you introduce something new, and that's what kept breaking it. I was like, I'll introduce something new here, and then suddenly you've done everything in the wrong order because you hadn't considered this one thing later on. And at one point it just wasn't working. I couldn't work out why. So I sat down and I refactored by starting again.
Yeah.
And just going, right, this function works, this function it works, this one. And then I found one of the root causes. Okay, there were 2 lists. And one of the problems, and it was my fault this time, and not my understanding that was wrong. So last year I had a particular issue where I had 2 lists, and lists of objects in Blender can exist under one namespace or another. And I was comparing one namespace's list of objects to another, and it wasn't working. In this particular instance, I was making a list and then cross-referencing it with a list within Blender. And of course, they had a different order. So I was like, how do I solve this problem? How do I solve this? And then it suddenly came to me, why am I creating a list? What's my reason for creating this list? And the reason for creating the list is to make sure that I can name all of the objects in a scene the same name that the file is. I was like, why don't I just name each object as it's imported? Whilst I'm touching that object, just name it. And I was like, there we go. Of course, at that point, half my script was relying on this list that didn't be needed anymore. So that took a ton of time to try and sort out. Start again.
Paco, random, but can't contain myself. Are you excited for the Steam Deck?
Oh, I love my Steam Deck. My Steam Deck's awesome. Because that's possibly the worst name for a product in the world.
I have no skin in this game because I have no need for a portable
Steam Deck
PC. It looks amazing.
I
don't
think it's going to be a
have
great.
any interest in it.
Yeah, the joke's gone now, but there's my Steam Deck. The problem is Elgato actually released a Stream Deck 2 hours later, which is one of the major issues.
Will you be starting to check how the UI will scale on a 7-inch device? Probably not, unless someone asks me to. Same reason I won't be checking for mobile. Like, I'm not usually designing for that interface.
I mean, it has to be considered if you're designing for. This is part of your game design document. What format is this game going to be played on? If it's going to be played on console and on a 7-inch screen, and you're planning on having a mobile version of the game, you're probably having 3 games. You may have the same core experience, but you may have to completely refactor how, not how animations work, but how the controls actually work. If I've got this, we were talking about this with the dodge. I was like, when you've got a controller in your hand and you're like moving to the left and you can just press B and you're dodging. When my hands are on the mouse and keyboard and suddenly I've got to reach across to a certain key to dodge, so that ergonomics, it's completely different to having a controller in your hand. So
I was thinking about making it easier for you to make dodge close square bracket.
Yeah, perfect.
No.
Then I just won't use it and then it won't be a problem, yeah? Yeah, but all of it's so crazy. You think?
I do think. I like the fact that someone has logged in just to give us a down arrow, a down thumb. Thank you. I think we're coming up to, well, we've gone past the hour. We should wrap it up.
Someone's gave us a down thumb. What does that mean? I don't know. It's engagement. It's all engagement.
It's fine.
God, if you're still watching it, let's cancel out that by smashing the like button.
Don't. Just don't.
Do it.
Oh.
We're not leaving until you smash the like button.
I'm leaving. Bye.
Thanks.
Great to see everybody.
Oh,
Thank you for
dear.
joining us. Do keep an eye out on what's happening. Let us know if you have any more thoughts and
Yeah.
concerns and things you want to see in the thing. And yeah, that was
We'll see you
my
all
sign
again
off.
the same time next week. Take care, everybody.
Let's see if I can press it before I say press it. Bye.
Bye.